If you want cheap PC games, Xbox Live codes, and a whole bunch more, then check out G2A. A link is in the description below. Yo guys, what's up? It's XRAYZ. Welcome back to another Call of Duty Modern Warfare video. So in today's video, I actually wanted to go over 5 must-use weapons in Warzone. These are, in my opinion, the 5 best weapons to use. And on top of that, we're going to be going over the class loadout, the attachments that I use on these guys. So let's jump into it. Hopefully you guys do enjoy the video. If you do go on to enjoy the video, drop a like, guys. It's super appreciated, incredibly helpful. You guys have been killing it with the support on the channel lately. So if you guys could keep supporting the channel, drop a like. If you're new, obviously, if you enjoy the content, make sure you are subscribed. Gonna have a lot more Call of Duty Warzone content coming, so make sure you're subbed and set the notification bell to all notifications. But anyways, let's go ahead and go over what these different weapons are and what those attachments are. So let's jump into it. So the first one is actually going to be the M13. So the M13 is actually one of my favorite weapons to use in Warzone. I actually have, like I said, 5 different weapons that I like to use. The M13, I think, is one of those that gets under the radar. A lot of people don't use it, but it's a pretty accurate weapon. It has a pretty fast rate of fire. And the attachments I like to use on it is the monolithic suppressor. I think I use this on actually all of the weapons I'm going to be showing you guys here for my 5 different weapons I like using here in Warzone. But the monolithic suppressor is pretty awesome. It not only suppresses your weapon, which is so key in Warzone, staying off the compass, staying off the minimap, but also it increases the damage range of your weapon. So it makes it more lethal at a further range. I just really like using it on my M13 and actually all of my weapons in Warzone pretty much. So that's what I like to use for the muzzle. For the barrel, I like using the Tempest Marksman. This one also increases the damage range, the bullet velocity, and it controls your recoil actually. So pretty awesome stuff. It does lower your ADS time, but this is obviously a assault rifle. You want to use it at more medium to longer ranges, so you're not going to be busting this out to try to kill someone indoors. You can still definitely use it that way, but you're not going to be outgunning someone with a super quick ADSing SMG. So just keep that in mind. As for the other attachments we have for the optic, the GI Mini Reflex, I just like using it here. You can swap this out for anything that you want. This is all personal preference on here, whether you want something like the hybrid sight that has the closer and then you can do kind of like a medium range, you can do that. But personally, I just like rocking this guy. If I want to do longer ranges, you could just pick up an assault rifle. You could just pick up a sniper rifle, which might end up actually being the better choice. For my 4th attachment, I like using the 60 round magazine. It also depends this one on what you want, whether you want 50 rounds or 60 rounds. I just like using the 60 rounds. You could definitely use the 50 rounds. The only difference is that the 60 round one actually is a little bit more damaging because it has that extra bullet. It's a little bit slower than the 50 round magazine in terms of ADSing, and also the movement speed is a slightly bit slower again because it is the bigger magazine. But I just like having more ammo. There's a lot of people you run into that have a lot of health and you're going to be running into multiple people, so you want to have as much ammo as possible to take someone out. Once they're down, you can finish them off quickly, or you know, obviously if another teammate pops up for them, then you can kill them. So you want to have as much ammo as you can in this mode, so I just like rocking that. And then my 5th attachment is the Operator Foregrip. This one just does recoil control. You could do other ones if you wanted like more hip fire accuracy and stuff, but I like making it so I'm not crippling my weapon with every attachment I use. So slower ADS speed, like I said, but again, you want this guy to be your medium range weapon, and you can do that if you have a little bit extra recoil control. All right, so the next one is actually probably the best weapon in Warzone, at least for now, and it is the AUG. So this SMG, the biggest attachment you need to use on here is the ammo conversion over to the NATO rounds, the 5.56 NATO rounds. I like using the 60 round drum just so I can have a lot of ammo, and the rest of my attachments basically make it so it stays in SMG and has a pretty fast rate of fire. The only difference one is the monolithic suppressor. Like I said, I like using that on all of my weapons, but I already talked about that guy. Let's talk about the other attachments. We have the Merc Foregrip as my under barrel attachment. Now you could actually do a different one if you wanted to, but I like using this one. It has recoil control and hip fire accuracy. It's the only one really that I think is really worth it. You could put other ones if you wanted to, but I like that. Like I said, we already talked about the ammo conversion, and then we have 2 attachments to actually increase the ADS. We have the Stippled Grip, which does faster aim down sight, and then also a faster sprint to fire speed. So that's basically when you're running and then you start ADSing. It's a little bit faster in that way. And then for our stock, we're using the Forged Tack CQB combo, which also increases or decreases the aimed outside speed, so it makes it quicker to ADS. So those are the attachments I like using on the AUG. And then in terms of the rest of the attachments and the perks and stuff, I'll talk about what my overall favorite perk loadout is towards the end once we're done talking about all the different weapons. But anyways, the next one is actually going to be the M4A1, and this thing is like meta, dude. Like, this is probably one of the best weapons in the game. Everyone uses it. It's super accurate, probably the most accurate weapon that you can use in Warzone for longer ranges, you know, apart from obviously like the MP7 also has little recoil, man, the MP7, but we'll talk about that here in a little bit. But let's go over the attachments. The M4A1, we like using the monolithic suppressor. This is actually pretty freaking sweet. You use that guy and, like I said, increased damage range, and also it suppresses you, so it's pretty freaking awesome. For the barrel, I like using the Corvus Custom Marksman. It does increase damage range, the increased bullet velocity, and then also lower recoil, which is actually pretty awesome. There's a lot of other ones that you could do. You could do the stock M16 Grenadier if you guys wanted that one. It does pretty much the exact same thing. It's just personal preference, whichever way you guys want to go with that one. And then I like using the GI Mini Reflex on this one. Again, you could use a different sight if you want to. You could get rid of it altogether if you wanted to and put like a stock or something, but I like using sights on my assault rifles right now, and that's just kind of what I'm rolling with. But anyways, apart from there, we have the 60 round ammunition, and again, same situation with the M13. You're going to be getting a slower ADS time and then a slower movement speed if you slap this guy on. But again, I think it far outweighs the idea of running out of ammo and it takes forever to reload unless you can swap over quick to your second weapon and you're running apt, for instance, as your third perk. But if you're not, I would highly recommend that you use bigger magazines on all of your weapons. As for the final attachment, we're going to be using the Merc foregrip as the underbarrel. This has recoil control and also hipfire accuracy, which we've already talked about before, so not that huge of a surprise. But again, it's a pretty sweet weapon combination to use. I really like using this combination in Warzone. I would probably try to speed it up a little bit if we were playing multiplayer. You know, if you're trying to give a faster ADS time, then, you know, I would swap it around. But for Warzone, again, I'm using it more as a medium range weapon, so I'm not really using it in any other way. Let's move on to the next one, guys. We already talked about it a little bit, but the MP7 absolutely destroys in Warzone, and this is the attachments I like using. I like using the monolithic suppressor, already talked about that. I like using the FSS Recon barrel. Now this guy does damage range plus bullet velocity plus recoil control, so this thing becomes a laser, dude. Like, this is literally no recoil with an SMG. It's amazing. For the stock, I like using the FSS close quarter stock. This increases your ADS time. You really want to do that because you have a couple of attachments that will slow this down, but I like using that guy. I like using stippled grip, which also increases your ADS time and also your sprint to fire speed. You want to have both of those guys. Believe me, you're gonna love it. You're gonna be able to ADS pretty quickly and also have like little to no recoil, which is amazing. And then, like I said, I like having a ton of ammunition. I slap on the 60 round magazine on the MP7, and again, that lowers your ADS time, your movement speed, but we already got that covered with two other attachments. So this is the MP7 loadout. Give the MP7 a try. You know, if you don't really like the AUG, this one is one of those weapons that is an SMG that has solo recoil that you're gonna love it as a primary weapon, almost like an assault rifle. Obviously not as good as just rocking an M4 or a kilo or whatever, but it's still a pretty freaking sweet weapon to use at medium range. So the MP7, give it a shot. Everyone's using it. There's a reason why everyone is using it. All right, so my final loadout is going to be a weapon that probably not a lot of people use, and that is the Grau 556. And this weapon is freaking awesome. You got to give it. It's another one of those like under the radar weapons that maybe you haven't tried because it's a DLC weapon. It freaking rocks, dude. Give it a shot. Muzzle, obviously we already talked about it. The monolithic suppressor, come on, broken record over here. For the barrel, I like using the Tempest 26.4 inch Archangel. Essentially the same thing it does for other assault rifles. Damage range, bullet velocity, recoil control. You want to have it. And this, unlike my other assault rifles, actually, I don't use an optic because the iron sights are actually really clean on the Grau 556. So personally, I don't use a sight on this guy. I can use this almost like an SMG, really close to longer ranges. And again, if you want longer ranges, you would probably be using a sniper rifle anyways. But anyways, that's what's going on with that. As for the rear grip, I use the XRAYZ Void 2. This increases your ADS speed and also your sprint to fire speed, which is freaking awesome. I like to use the 50 round magazine on this one as opposed to the 60, only because I'm trying to keep this one as quick as I can. I almost treat this like an SMG more than assault rifle, and that's why I'm using the 50 round as opposed to the 60, just to give me that little bit extra speed. As for the underbarrel, the Ranger foregrip, increased recoil control, plus also aiming stability. I just like using this guy. You could swap it out for something else, like if you wanted hipfire accuracy, you could, but I just like using the Ranger foregrip on this guy. And this one's more, you know, personal preference. You could get rid of this, put a stock to try to ADS a little faster. You know, you could change this one up if you really wanted to, but that's just the class loadout that I like rocking. As for the perks I like to run, I pretty much run this on all of them, but right now I'm actually kind of enjoying having an RPG as my secondary. A lot of people don't really use it, but the RPG is just insane. Like, it just destroys people. So it's actually kind of annoying, but you know, everyone's using it. Try out the RPG as your secondary. It's a pretty fun thing to use early in game. As for the perks, I like using Quick Fix because you start healing up once you kill someone. I use Ghost as my second perk because I like to stay off the, you know, mini radars, the heartbeat sensors, and then also the UAVs. And then I like using either Shrapnel or Amped. If I am going to be running around with two weapons that I need to swap faster, I would probably go with Amped. I mostly go with Amped, but if you want to have two C4s or whatever, obviously try using Shrapnel. As for my lethals, you already heard me say it, I like using the C4. And then finally, my tactical is the heartbeat sensor because it's awesome. Final Circle, if people just respawn in, they don't have perks or, you know, stuff like that, you can catch people off guard. So I just like using that as a little bit more of a reason to help me rush around, because I feel more confident when I'm pulling that out and I don't see anyone. Who knows, maybe it makes it so I die more, but I just like having the heartbeat sensor. It's a fun thing to rock around, especially when you have one person on your trios or whatever who's checking that out and keeping an eye out. It just makes you feel so much safer. But anyways, guys, thank you so much for watching the video. Hopefully you guys did enjoy the video and found it informative. Hopefully it helps you guys get better at Warzone. If you guys enjoyed the video, again, guys, do me a huge favor, drop a like on the video. Super appreciated and incredibly helpful. And if you are new to the channel, if you want to see even more videos like these, I'm going to have a lot more Call of Duty Modern Warfare content coming, especially for Warzone. So make sure you guys are subscribed. I'm going to have a lot more class loadouts and live comms and stuff coming. So make sure you guys are subbed up and slap that notification bell. Set it to all notifications. It's super appreciated. And again, I really appreciate your guys' support over the last couple of weeks. Keep slapping those likes, keep subscribing. It really is truly appreciated. And then last but not least, if you guys want to talk about anything, like I said, I'm constantly on Twitter. Go ahead and give me a follow over there. I'm gonna go ahead and put some recent followers on screen. If you want to be in the next video, give me a follow. Link in the description below at OGXRAYZ. You guys have an awesome day. Take care. I'm out. Peace.